Welcome to Animal Stories for Kids. If you like our stories, please give us a 5-star rating, subscribe to our podcast, and share it with your friends and family. Plus, check out exclusive show-related content and join the community at patreon.com/Animal Stories for Kids. And now, it's time for our story. Once upon a time, there was a barnacle named Annie. Annie the barnacle lived in the open blue waters of a tropical sea, where the sunlight shimmers and the fish zip and zoom underwater all day and night. Annie was a teeny tiny barnacle larva, and she loved to swim in circles. And she had one big dream. "One day," she whispered to herself, "I'm going to stick to a pearl. Not just any pearl, but the most beautiful, shiny, smooth, sparkly pearl in the ocean." She heard about pearls from a drifting jellyfish once. Pearls were rare and beautiful. Oysters made them when something tickled their insides, and over time they wrapped it in shimmering layers until it became a treasure. But Annie didn't know much about it. She didn't quite know what pearls were or how they were made. She just knew they were pretty. She wanted to live on one forever. Not a rock, not a boat, not a smelly old turtle shell either. Nope, a pearl. Her dream was to one day stick to a pearl and live on a pearl for the rest of her life. Every day, as she floated with the ocean currents, she imagined her perfect home, glinting white, surrounded by elegant sea creatures, saying, "Look at that barnacle, so classy, so shiny." As she was floating, she would practice fancy poses and daydream about how other fish would watch her when she was on a pearl. And she would say, "Oh, you're looking at me? Yes, I live on a pearl. Isn't it beautiful?" As she would imagine other sea creatures swimming by and complimenting her. But barnacles can't float forever. Once they grow big enough, they have to pick a place to stick to. And that place becomes their forever home. Most barnacles never move again after that. They glue themselves with a natural cement stronger than almost anything else in the sea. And soon, Annie the barnacle knew it was her time. Her tiny body itched to settle on something. She had to choose, so she kicked her legs and swam down to search. She passed by some jagged coral and said, "Too pokey." She passed a driftwood log and looked at it and said, "Nah, too splintery." She passed a boat's rusty metal bottom and looked at it and considered it as her new home, but then said, "Nah, too noisy, and ew, fish poop." And then she saw it. Down in the sand, half covered by seagrass, nestled in the arms of a sleepy oyster, was a pearl. Round, gleaming, and as beautiful as she imagined. Annie the barnacle gasped and said, "It's real! It's mine!" She rushed toward it, heart fluttering, ready to get stuck on the pearl. But just then, a strong current came by. It was a big, thundering wave rolling through. It was stirred off by a storm, and it spun Annie round and round like a whirlpool. "Whoa, whoa, oh no!" she yelled as she was spinning around and getting dizzy. She tumbled and flipped and started falling sideways. And with a splat, she stuck. "Ah!" she moaned. "Did I make it?" She blinked. She looked down. She wasn't on the pearl. She wasn't even close. She was stuck on a rock. A plain, boring, lumpy rock. "No," Annie said. "This can't be right." She wiggled, she tugged, but it was too late. Her glue had hardened forever. "I missed my pearl," she sniffled. "I blew it. I can't believe this is happening." Annie the Barnacle sulked for days. She didn't talk to any of the other barnacles who were already living nearby. She barely opened her shell to feed herself. "This rock is lumpy," she grumbled. "The view is terrible. There's nothing special about this rock." She imagined the pearl far away, maybe with some other barnacle on it. A fancy barnacle. A lucky barnacle. Not like her. "This isn't how it was supposed to go," she sighed. But the days kept coming, and little things began to change. One morning, the sunlight danced across the rock in a way that made the water sparkle like stars. Annie was watching it. "Huh?" Annie said softly. "That's kinda nice." Then one day, a pod of dolphins swam by, giggling and flipping underwater. It seemed as if the rock that Annie the Barnacle was living on now was the special place the dolphins came to hang out. And Annie the Barnacle loved watching the dolphins come and play. And one evening, a baby sea snail settled beside her. "Is this your home?" the snail asked shyly. Annie hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, it is." "Cool," said the snail. "You have the best spot because the current brings lots of food here." And it did. Tiny plankton drifted right to Annie the Barnacle's feathery cirri. She didn't even have to try. Soon, Annie the Barnacle was part of a whole community of barnacles and snails and mussels and sea anemones living on the rock. They told stories to each other. They danced with the currents. They caught food and shared jokes and watched the moon rise together. Every once in a while, Annie still thought about the pearl. But more and more, she thought about the snail beside her and the barnacle 2 bumps over who loved to hum, and the way the rock held steady even when storms came. And she thought about how the pearl was so small that she wouldn't have been able to grow on it. And she found that living on the rock was much better than living on a pearl. One night, as the ocean calmed and the stars shimmered above, Annie whispered to herself, "I didn't get my pearl, but I got this awesome rock." She looked at her neighbors, all fast asleep, gently swaying with the sea, and she realized her rock was solid, and her view changed with the tide. Her home wasn't shiny, but it was full of life. And that, Annie realized, was even more beautiful than a pearl. And the barnacle lived happily ever after. The end. Barnacles are tiny sea animals. They're not rocks or clams, as people mistake them to be. Barnacles are part of the same family as crabs and lobsters. They start off life by swimming, but when they grow up, they stick to one spot forever. They grow a hard shell to protect themselves, and they often look like little bumps or cones on rocks. Barnacles live in the ocean, and you can find them on rocks, boats, sea turtles, whales, or even other barnacles. Some barnacles live near the beach, and some live deep underwater. Baby barnacles are called larvae. They swim around looking for a place to live. And when they find a good spot, they stick themselves on it with super sticky glue. After they stick, they stay there for their whole life. Barnacles don't go looking for food. They let food come to them. Barnacles have tiny feather-like legs called cirri. They wave those legs in the water to catch plankton to eat. Barnacle shells keeps them safe from waves and animals. They open like a little door when they want to eat. And when the water goes away at low tide, they shut tight to stay wet inside. The barnacle's glue is so strong, it can stick to almost anything, even boats and whales. A long time ago, people thought barnacles were plants or rocks. Barnacles can live up to 10 years. Barnacles don't have eyes or ears, but they can still sense movement in the water. Some barnacles can be as small as a popcorn kernel. Barnacles don't move, but they can grow on top of each other to make like a bumpy cluster. Some barnacles are bright red, orange, or even purple. Have you seen a real-life barnacle before? If you have, where did you see it? If you want to write to us, ask your parent to email us at animalstoriesforkids@gmail.com and tell us what you think of our stories. We would love to hear from you. Thanks for listening to Animal Stories for Kids. If you like our stories, please give us a 5-star rating, subscribe to our podcast, and share it with your friends and family. Plus, check out exclusive show-related content and join the community at patreon.com/animalstoriesforkids. Until next time, bye!